this video is going to show you how to make this tree skirt or table topper, however you want to use it. Quilt as you go. Very simple, easy. You can do this with your home sewing machine. I made it really large. This is 52 inches across. But the ruler that we're going to be using to make this in the video, you could make it smaller. Just don't make it your strips as long as I did. I used the whole ruler, so that's why this is really big. But this is super cool, really easy to make. You could use your scrap fabrics like I did, or you could use a jelly roll, whatever you want. Today we're going to make a tree skirt with the So Easy 10-degree ruler. I took polyester batting that I already had with the smooth side up, and I traced the first wedge with a Sharpie marker on the batting, and now I'm taking the wedge and I'm sitting it with it over the 1/4 inch mark on the ruler and lining that up with the Sharpie mark, and then I'm going to continue tracing these wedges all the way around in a circle. Okay, so I have the backing down on the floor and it's taped to the floor to secure it so that it doesn't have any wrinkles, and I spread out the batting on top of the backing. I used the adhesive spray that I showed you earlier, and now the batting is secure to the backing, so it's not going to come up when we sew the pieces on. So something I want to point out is to make sure that when you're making your quilt sandwich, it's going to be 3 layers. You'll have your top layer, which is the top of the skirt where the strips are. Then we have the batting, that's our second layer. And then we have the backing, okay? So when you lay out your sandwich, make sure that the backing has the pretty side down. Okay, so it'll be pretty side down, and then this is the back of the fabric, and you'll have your batting against that, and then we'll sew the strips on top of that. So now I've trimmed off the backing all the way around the batting, and we're ready to lay out our fabrics so that we can start sewing them down. I recommend that you lay out your wedges in the design that you like before you start sewing them down. So I have the first wedge in place, then the second wedge. This is made with 2.5 inch strips sewn together and then cut with this ruler. Once you have your design laid out, start with the first wedge on the bottom. The second wedge you're going to lay on top of it, and you're going to just sew a 1/4 inch seam all the way down this side. Right here, you'll start at the top, and you'll just sew it all the way down. Okay? And then you'll open it up, and lay it flat, and you'll sew the next one on. And you'll keep going all the way around the tree skirt until you have them all sewn together. Now, doing it like this, you are getting to quilt it as you go, so you don't need a long arm machine or anything like that. And as you sew it together, that's how it is. Okay, so now that the back and the batting are basted with the adhesive spray, we laid out all of the strips to decide on the pattern that we want our tree skirt to look like. Now that we have our design laid out, we can pick up our strips in order and stack them and begin sewing them down. So now I'm going to start sewing the first 2 wedges right sides together with a 1/4 inch seam allowance from this line right here. Lining it up on that purple line. We're going to go in a 1/4 inch and sew it all the way down. trimmed off all of the batting after I have all of the strips sewed together. And now I need to sew a 1/4 inch all the way around to hold this down before I put the binding on. Just secure that edge so nothing moves. And keep it all in place. You can see here. So it's sewn down. So it's going to hold everything in place. And then we're going to sew the binding on, and I'll show you that next. Okay, so the binding is 2.5 inch strips sewn together and then ironed in half. Then we're going to take the selvage edge and we're going to stitch it down to the front of this tree skirt. The parts that I have clipped right now, I'm not going to stitch until later after I join up the ends, and then we will stitch that down. Okay, so now I'm going to start stitching it down to the front. I have these clips here to help hold it. And I will clip it as I go also, adding more clips as we make the turn on the skirt. Now remember, this is selvage edge to selvage edge that you're sewing together. We're going to do this all the way around. When we get to the other side, I'll show you how to join the binding and then stitch down that last part. And then we'll turn the binding over and stitch it on the back. Okay, so now we're to the end. And these are our two ends. This is where we started and this is where we're ending. So we have to join these two. So what I do is I smooth it out so I can see where they meet exactly. I don't know if you can see this in the video. And then I take a pin and I put it through right there. Do you see that? I have a pin there. Then I'm going to stitch this straight across and then trim these off. And then I'll be able to just finish stitching all the way around. So I'm going to do that now. So I'm going to unclip it. I have my pin in there. I'm going to put it under my sewing machine. I'm going to line it up. And I'm going to stitch it straight across, joining the two pieces of binding. And I like to stitch it twice, and I just flip it over, stitch it one more time, and then trim off the strings. And then I can trim this off. So now you can see that I can clip it down and it's going to fit perfectly. So I'll just finish clipping this to the tree skirt. I like these clips. You can get them on Amazon pretty cheap. Okay, so now it's ready. So I just need to finish sewing it down, and then we're going to iron this open, flip it back, and stitch it. And we'll be done with the binding on the bottom. now you can see that the binding is sewn on. Looks pretty good, right? This is the front, so we're going to iron this flat all the way around, and then we'll come back and clip it to the back. See if you can see this. So after we iron it, we'll clip it like that. We'll fold it and then clip it, and we'll stitch it down, and it'll look really nice. It'll be finished. Okay, so I have folded the binding back to the back side, and I clipped it all the way around. As you can see, this is the folded side. And now I'm just going to stitch it down. I'm going to stitch it all the way around. Okay, so we are done finishing sewing the binding on the bottom of the tree skirt. So now, cut the threads and show you what it looks like. So I'm going to have to move this over. And so now you can see how it looks from the front, and there's your binding sewn on the back. And that's it. Okay, so here's our tree skirt, completely finished. You could also use this as a table topper because it doesn't have the slit on the side. It just has the hole in the center. You can sew it with the slit on the side if you want. That's really easy. You just don't join it. But you could put like a mirror over the center, or plants or flowers, and this would look really beautiful on top of your table. This measures 52 inches finished across. I just kind of want to show you. There's the binding on the back and the back fabric, and then here's the front. Looks really good.
Like and subscribe to Grandma's channel. Like and subscribe to Grandma's channel.